For most people, farm animals are simple things. Chickens lay eggs, cows produce milk, goats eat almost anything and somehow survive. It looks slow, traditional, even outdated. But behind the fences and barns, there is something very different happening. A quiet economy, an economy built on biology, time, efficiency, and numbers. An economy where profit does not come from screens or software, but from feed conversion, reproduction cycles, mortality rates, and market volatility. This is not about nature documentaries. This is about return on investment. In the last decade, global demand for animal protein has grown faster than human population itself. Urbanization, rising incomes in developing countries, and cultural shifts in diet have transformed meat, eggs, and dairy into financial assets. Not emotional ones, strategic ones. Small farms, in particular, have become laboratories of optimization. Limited land, limited capital, high pressure to perform, and yet, some animals consistently outperform others. Not because they are beautiful, not because they are rare, but because they obey the brutal mathematics of farming. Cost in, value out, time in between. This video is about those animals. Not the romantic version, the profitable version. To understand which animals generate money, we first need to understand what profit actually means in agriculture. It is not revenue, it is not popularity, it is the gap between everything you spend and everything you recover, measured across time and risk. A chicken that earns $5 but costs $4 is more valuable than a cow that earns $1,000 but costs $990. Scale lies, margins do not. Most beginners fail because they chase large animals. They associate size with value. In reality, size usually means higher feed consumption, higher disease exposure, higher infrastructure costs, slower reproduction, and higher financial risk. Large animals can be profitable, but they punish mistakes. Small animals forgive them. This is why, historically, small livestock has always been the foundation of resilient farms. Chickens, rabbits, quail, goats, animals that multiply fast, eat little, sell easily, and convert chaos into cash. But not all of them perform equally. Some animals are emotional traps. They look productive, they sound promising, they destroy balance sheets quietly. Others look boring, almost invisible, and yet, they outperform everything else in silence. The modern profitable farm does not look like an old postcard. It looks like a system. Every animal inside that system is evaluated using 5 variables. Initial cost, monthly feeding cost, time to market, mortality risk, market liquidity. Ignore one of these, and profit becomes hope instead of strategy. Let's start with the most misunderstood metric. Time. Time is the real currency of farming. An animal that reaches market in 45 days can be sold 8 times in a year. An animal that reaches market in 18 months gives you 1 chance. 1 disease, 1 price crash, 1 logistics failure, and your entire year evaporates. Fast cycles reduce risk. Fast cycles increase learning. Fast cycles create cash flow. This is why poultry dominates global animal production. Not because people love chickens, but because chickens obey economics. A broiler chicken reaches slaughter weight in 35 to 45 days. Feed conversion rate, extremely efficient. Infrastructure, simple. Market, universal. Losses, statistically manageable. This single biological profile reshaped the entire protein industry. And it set the template for what profitable animals look like. Small body, fast growth, high reproduction, predictable demand. Now, consider this. 2 farmers, same land, same capital. Farmer A invests in cattle. Farmer B invests in poultry. After 1 year, Farmer A sold maybe 1 batch. Farmer B sold 7. Farmer A learned once. Farmer B learned 7 times. Farmer A adjusted slowly. Farmer B optimized aggressively. Over 5 years, the difference becomes absurd. Not because one farmer is smarter, but because one system compounds faster. This principle repeats across species. Rabbits reach market size in 70 to 90 days. Quail in 35 days. Egg production starts within weeks. Reproduction cycles are short. Cash flow is constant. And constant cash flow is oxygen for small operations. But speed alone is not enough. Some animals grow fast and still lose money. Because of feed cost. Feed is the largest expense in animal production. Often 60 to 70% of total cost. Any animal that eats inefficiently is a liability. A biological mistake with fur. This is where goats become interesting. Goats survive where cows fail. They eat plants that cattle ignore. They tolerate heat. They resist drought. They reproduce reliably. They require simpler infrastructure. In marginal land, goats often outperform cows by a wide margin. Not in total revenue, but in net profit, which is the only number that matters. Still, goats carry market risks. Demand varies by region. Cultural preferences matter. Export logistics complicate pricing. This is why profitable farming is never universal. It is regional. An animal that prints money in one country bleeds in another. Which brings us to the most dangerous myth in farming. There is a best animal. There is not. There is only best for your land, best for your climate, best for your market, best for your capital. Profit is local, but patterns exist, and these patterns repeat globally. High performers share traits: low startup cost, high reproduction rate, fast growth, stable demand, low veterinary complexity, efficient feed conversion, short cash cycle. Animals that fail usually violate two or more of these. They grow slowly. They demand expensive infrastructure. They rely on unstable markets. They require specialized knowledge. They concentrate risk. They delay returns. Cattle is the classic example. Powerful revenue, weak flexibility, high emotional attachment, low margin resilience. Cattle farming creates wealth slowly, or destroys it dramatically. Small livestock creates wealth quietly, or corrects mistakes quickly. This is why modern profitable farms are diversifying downward, not upward. More chickens, more rabbits, more quail, more small ruminants, less dependency on massive animals, less exposure to single-point failure. This is not romantic farming. It is portfolio management. Animals become assets, species become investment categories, and farms become biological factories. In the next part, we will move from theory to numbers. Real costs, real margins, real timelines. We will break down the first category of animals that consistently outperform others in small and medium operations, using production cycles, feed economics, and market data. Not opinions, not tradition, just math. If farming had a fast lane, poultry would own it. Not because chickens are impressive, not because they are elegant, but because they turn time into money with almost mechanical precision. A modern broiler chicken reaches market weight in 35 to 45 days. That means 7 to 8 full production cycles per year. In financial terms, this is aggressive compounding. Most traditional businesses would collapse trying to rotate inventory that fast. Chickens do it naturally. Let's break down why poultry dominates small and medium farms across the world. First, biology. Chickens grow absurdly fast. Selective breeding over decades has transformed them into efficient protein machines. Their feed conversion ratio often sits between 1.5 and 1.8. That means 1.5 to 1.8 kilograms of feed for 1 kilogram of meat. Few animals on Earth beat that. Second, infrastructure. A poultry operation does not require complex buildings. No heavy fencing, no reinforced barns, no large grazing areas. A controlled shed, ventilation, clean water, feeders, and basic biosecurity. That's it. Third, market liquidity. Chicken meat is consumed in almost every culture, income level, and religion. It sells fast. It stores reasonably well. Prices fluctuate, but demand rarely disappears. From a financial perspective, poultry behaves like a stable currency. Now let's talk numbers. A simplified small-scale example: 1,000 broiler chickens. Average cost per chick, 50 cents. Feed per chicken, to slaughter, 4 kilogram. Feed price, 40 cents per kilogram. Feed cost per chicken, $1.60. Total cost per chicken, chick plus feed plus utilities plus losses, approximately equals $2.40. Market weight, 2.2 kilograms. Selling price, $2 per kilogram. Revenue per chicken, $4.40. Net profit per chicken, approximately equals $2. Multiply by 1,000, $2,000 per cycle. Multiply by 7 cycles per year, $14,000 annual profit. On a small footprint, with predictable behavior, with scalable structure. Of course, reality is messier. Diseases happen, feed prices rise, markets fluctuate, but even under pressure, poultry remains one of the most resilient animal investments available. Now, chickens are only the beginning. Let's move smaller. Quail. Quail farming looks ridiculous to outsiders. Tiny birds, tiny eggs, tiny cages. And yet, from a financial angle, quail are brutal. They mature in 35 days. They start laying eggs at 6 to 7 weeks. They require minimal space. They consume little feed, and their eggs sell at premium prices in many markets. A quail egg can cost 3 to 5 times more than a chicken egg per gram. Why? Perceived health benefits, exotic branding, restaurant demand, low competition. Let's look at a basic model. 500 quail layers. Feed consumption per bird, 25 grams per day. Total daily feed, 12.5 kilograms. Feed cost, 40 cents per kilogram. Daily feed cost, $5. Egg production rate, 75%. Eggs per day, 375. Price per egg, 15 cents. Daily revenue, $56. Daily feed cost, $5. Utilities, losses, depreciation, $10. Net daily profit, approximately equals $41. Monthly profit, approximately equals $1,230. From birds that fit in a single room. The downside? Market size. Quail products are profitable but niche. If your region does not consume them, you will struggle. Liquidity is lower than chicken. Still, in the right market, quail become silent cash machines. Now let's talk about the animal that farmers underestimate the most. Rabbits. Rabbits are biological factories. They reproduce faster than logic. A female can produce up to 40 offspring per year. They grow to market size in 70 to 90 days. They eat low-quality forage. They tolerate confinement. They produce lean meat, and in many regions, rabbit meat sells at premium prices. The economics are strange but powerful. One breeding pair can generate dozens of market animals annually. Infrastructure is simple. Feed is flexible. Space requirement is minimal. Example: 10 breeding females. Average kits per female per year, 30. Total rabbits, 300. Market weight revenue per rabbit, $10. Cost per rabbit, $5. Profit per rabbit, $5. Annual profit, $1,500. From 10 mothers, scale this to 100 mothers and the numbers stop being cute. The problem? Marketing. Rabbits suffer from cultural resistance. Some people see pets, not food. Demand varies heavily by country. In Europe and parts of Asia, strong market. In other regions, weak. Again, profit is local. So why do these animals dominate? 3 reasons. Short production cycles. Low feed cost relative to output. Continuous cash flow. Cash flow is psychological survival. It allows farmers to pay bills, buy feed, fix mistakes, adapt. Large animals trap money for months or years. Small animals release money constantly. This changes decision-making. It reduces panic. It improves planning. It creates learning loops. This is why many profitable farms start small and stay diversified. Not because small animals are glamorous, but because they forgive. Now let's address the uncomfortable truth. High-speed animals also have weaknesses. Disease spreads faster. Biosecurity matters more. Margins per unit are smaller. Management must be precise. One mistake multiplied by thousands becomes expensive. But statistically, these systems outperform slow animals in 80% of small farm scenarios. They are not romantic. They are efficient. They are boring. They are powerful. And they form the foundation of modern animal profitability. In the next part, we move to medium-cycle animals. Goats, sheep, pigs, animals that balance higher revenue with moderate speed. More risk, more reward, more complexity. This is where farms either evolve or overextend. Between fast, lightweight animals and slow, capital-heavy giants, there exists a middle category. Animals that do not rotate as quickly as chickens, but also do not trap capital for years like cattle. This category is where many farms try to level up, sometimes successfully, sometimes catastrophically. These animals offer higher revenue per unit, but demand more structure, more planning, and more discipline. They reward strategy. They punish improvisation. Let's start with goats. Goats are often called the poor man's cow. This is inaccurate. In many environments, goats outperform cattle in net profit, not because they generate more revenue, but because they survive where cattle struggle. Goats tolerate heat. They resist drought. They digest low-quality vegetation. They navigate rough terrain. They reproduce reliably. From an economic perspective, goats are resilient assets. They convert bad land into acceptable returns. Typical numbers. Time to market weight, 6 to 9 months. Feed cost, low to moderate. Infrastructure, basic fencing and shelter. Reproduction, 1.5 to 2 kids per birth, often twice per year. Example, 50 breeding females. Average offspring per year per female, 2.5. Total kids, 125. Survival to market, 90% right pointing arrow 112 animals. Market price per goat, $120. Production cost per goat, $60. Profit per goat, $60. Annual profit, $6,720. Not spectacular, not small, stable, predictable. The advantage of goats is not speed, it is adaptability. They act as biological insurance policies in unstable climates. However, goats depend heavily on regional demand. In some markets, goat meat is premium. In others, it is nearly unsellable. If demand collapses, goats become liabilities quickly. Now sheep. Sheep behave similarly to goats, but economically they live in a different universe. Wool introduces a second revenue stream. Meat demand is culturally dependent. Feed efficiency is moderate. Disease resistance varies by breed. Sheep operations are sensitive to management quality. A well-run sheep farm prints steady income. A poorly managed one bleeds slowly. Typical profile. Time to market, 6 to 8 months. Reproduction, 1 to 2 lambs per year. Infrastructure, moderate. Veterinary cost, moderate. Numbers, 50 ewes. Average lambs per year, 1.5 right pointing arrow 75 lambs. Survival, 90% right pointing arrow 67 animals. Revenue per lamb, $150. Cost per lamb, $85. Profit per lamb, $65. Annual profit, $4,355. Plus wool. Wool revenue, $10 per sheep right pointing arrow $500. Total, approximately equals $4,855. Lower than goats in many regions, higher in others. Sheep are more sensitive to parasites, climate, and nutrition. They demand consistency. Now pigs. Pigs change the game. Pigs are biological processors. They convert feed into meat with frightening efficiency. They grow fast. They reproduce aggressively. They eat almost anything, but they also introduce complexity. Smell. Waste management. Disease control. Feed logistics. Regulation. Pigs are not beginner-friendly, but they are profit-dense. Profile. Time to market, 5 to 6 months. Feed conversion, 2.7 to 3.2. Reproduction, 8 to 12 piglets per litter, 2 litters per year. Example, 20 breeding sows. Piglets per sow per year, 18. Total piglets, 360. Survival, 90% right pointing arrow 324 pigs. Revenue per pig, $180. Cost per pig, $120. Profit per pig, $60. Annual profit, $19,440. This is no longer small farm money. This is serious, but risk increases. Disease outbreaks in pigs destroy entire operations. Feed price volatility directly impacts margins. Waste management mistakes lead to legal problems. Infrastructure costs are higher. Pigs amplify both profit and failure. Now the strategic perspective. Medium cycle animals represent a transition. They are not ideal for pure beginners. They require cash reserves, planning, veterinary relationships, stable markets, operational discipline. They are where farms evolve from survival to structure. But many farms skip steps. They abandon fast cycle animals too early. They lock capital into goats, sheep, or pigs. Cash flow weakens. Flexibility decreases. Risk increases. The farm becomes fragile. The smart path is layered. First, fast animals generate cash. Then, medium animals diversify income. Then, large animals, maybe. This is not tradition. This is capital management. In the next part, we move to large animals. Cattle, buffalo, and the uncomfortable truth behind their reputation. Why they build fortunes slowly and destroy them quickly. Cattle have a powerful image. Wide pastures, strong bodies, generations of tradition. For many people, cows represent real farming. For accountants, they represent something else. Capital frozen in slow motion. Large animals dominate the emotional side of agriculture, but rarely dominate the financial one, at least not in the short or medium term. They are not bad investments. They are slow, heavy, fragile investments. And slow capital is dangerous capital. Let's start with cattle. A typical beef cow reaches market weight in 18 to 24 months. That means, your money enters today. Your money returns in 2 years. In between, feed, vaccines, land costs, infrastructure maintenance, labor, market volatility. Climate risk, all stacked on top of each other like unpaid bills. 50 calves. Purchase price per calf, $300. Raising cost over 20 months, $500. Total cost per animal, $800. Selling price, $1,050. Profit per animal, $250. Total profit after approximately 2 years, $12,500. Sounds good, until you divide by time. Annualized profit, $6,250 per year. From land that could host thousands of chickens, or hundreds of pigs, or multiple fast cycles of rabbits. Cattle generate big-looking numbers and slow reality. This is why beginners love them. They feel rich before they are. Now consider risk concentration. If a poultry farm loses 5% of birds, it hurts. If a cattle farm loses 5% of herd, it devastates. Each animal represents a large chunk of capital. Disease outbreaks, drought, feed shortages, transport bans, price crashes. One event can erase 2 years of waiting. Then there is infrastructure, fencing, water systems, handling facilities, transport equipment, veterinary operations, insurance, all expensive, all slow to recover. Cattle farming rewards patience and scale, not agility, not beginners. Now buffalo. Buffalo are popular in some regions due to higher fat milk and strong meat demand. Economically, they behave like heavier cattle, slower maturity, higher feed needs, stronger infrastructure, higher resale value, higher risk, better margins in specific dairy markets. But the same structural weakness exists. Time. Cash is locked, adaptation is slow, mistakes are expensive. Then there is the hidden killer, opportunity cost. While your capital sleeps inside a cow for 2 years, it could have rotated 14 times in chickens, 4 times in pigs, 6 times in rabbits. Compounding is brutal. A $5,000 investment in poultry might return $2,000 per year. Reinvested, it grows. A $5,000 investment in cattle might return $1,200 after 2 years. No compounding, no flexibility, just waiting. This is why cattle farming only makes sense under 3 conditions. You own cheap land, you have large scale, you have long-term capital. Without those, cattle farming becomes financial cosplay. Looks strong, feels traditional, performs weak. Now the uncomfortable truth. Many farms are not profitable. They are asset-rich and cash-poor. They own animals, they own land, they own equipment, but cannot pay bills without loans. This is common in large animal operations. Wealth on paper, stress in reality. Large animals also create emotional attachment. Farmers hesitate to sell, they hold too long, they ignore market signals, they convert business into sentiment. Small animals are numbers. Large animals become stories. Stories do not pay feed bills. This does not mean cattle are useless. They are powerful in integrated systems, manure for crops, grazing management, land utilization, long-term wealth storage, but as primary profit engines for small farms? They are inefficient, high capital, low speed, high risk. Now compare a diversified small farm with chickens, quail, rabbits, pigs versus a farm with only cattle. One prints money monthly, the other waits yearly. One adapts, the other hopes. Modern profitable farms are shifting away from emotional agriculture toward calculated agriculture. Animals as units, land as platform, time as currency. In the final part, we will connect everything. How to structure animal choices, how to build a layered system, how to scale without breaking, and how to think like an investor, not a herdsman. At this point, the pattern is clear. Profit in animal farming does not come from tradition. It does not come from size. It does not come from emotion. It comes from structure. The most profitable farms in the modern world do not look impressive from the outside. They look organized, they look repetitive, they look boring, and that is exactly why they work. They treat animals as production units. They treat land as infrastructure. They treat time as capital. This is the mental shift that separates survival farming from business farming. Now let's translate everything into a practical system. A profitable animal operation is layered, not vertical, not dependent on a single species. Layer 1. Cash flow animals. These are your fast cycle engines, chickens, quail, rabbits. Their role is not maximum profit per unit. Their role is liquidity. They generate monthly income, stabilize operations, finance mistakes, fund expansion, reduce anxiety. Without this layer, everything else becomes dangerous. Layer 2. Growth animals. These are your medium cycle assets, pigs, goats, sheep. Their role is margin. They increase total revenue, diversify risk, create seasonal profit spikes, allow reinvestment. They depend on layer 1 to survive bad months. Layer 3. Capital storage animals. These are your slow assets. Cattle. Buffalo. Their role is not speed. Their role is wealth concentration. They act like real estate. Slow, heavy, long-term, optional, never foundational. Now let's discuss scaling. Most farms fail when scaling. Not because of animals, because of cash flow mismanagement. Scaling rule. Never increase animal count faster than your cash flow can support feed for 90 days. Feed is your oxygen. No feed, no farm. A smart expansion looks boring. 10% growth. Then stabilize. Then 10% again. Fast growth kills farms quietly. Disease exposure rises. Management quality falls. Cash disappears. Now risk control. Real farms do not avoid risk. They distribute it. 3 rules. Never rely on one buyer. Never rely on one species. Never rely on one feed supplier. These 3 dependencies destroy farms faster than drought. Now the uncomfortable investor truth. Profit is not made by loving animals. Profit is made by understanding costs. Track. Feed per animal. Mortality rate. Growth time. Selling price. Net margin. Weekly, not yearly. Emotion hides losses. Data reveals them. Modern farming is closer to logistics than to nature. Now the final perspective. Animals are biological machines. Some are fast, some are slow, some are efficient, some are expensive. The farmer's job is not to admire them. It is to arrange them into a system that converts grass, grain, and time into cash. Quietly, repeatedly, predictably. The future of profitable farming is not bigger animals. It is smarter systems, smaller cycles, faster feedback, better math, and fewer romantic decisions. In the next decade, farms that survive will look less like tradition and more like decentralized factories powered by biology. This is not the end of agriculture. It is its evolution, from survival to strategy, from instinct to structure, from animals to assets.